So let's start with job descriptions. Employers hear job description and they might think it's just HR paperwork, and employees often see it as marketing. What is it really?
Shared reference point. For employers, a strong job description forces you to define what the role actually needs and what it actually is, what success looks like, and what tasks are truly essential. It's also important in the disability context in terms of identifying what the essential job duties are, which you will need to know in the context of discussions around reasonable accommodation, which is a topic for another day. For employees, the job description is a preview of what you'll be evaluated on. It's also a great tool for asking smart questions like, which of these responsibilities is most important? Or what does a successful first 90 days look like for you?
Mm-hmm. So what should a good job description include?
Keep it practical. It should include the role summary, just 1 or 2 sentences on the purpose of the role and outcomes of that role. It should include core responsibilities, the main duties that define that role. It should include what are required versus preferred qualifications, whether it's education or professional experience, and separate those. It should include work location and schedule expectations, whether it's on-site, hybrid, fully remote, if there's travel, what the hours are like, all of those things. It should also include reporting structure, who the role reports to, who the key collaborators are. And it should include the essential physical requirements, only if they are truly job related though.
And what should it not include?
Yeah, this is where there are a lot of issues. So avoid items that are not job related, but still screen people out inadvertently, like overly rigid degree or education requirements when equivalent experience would do. Also avoid cultural language that can be read as excluding people like young and energetic, or anything that hints at preferences about family status, health, religion, sex or sexual orientation, or similar personal characteristics.
So then switching to the employee perspective, what's the best way to read a job description without overthinking it?
Yeah, treat it like a negotiation prep sheet. If the responsibilities are broad, ask or be ready to ask which ones are daily versus occasional. If the schedule's vague, ask what flexibility actually means in practice. If you see other duties as assigned, very common, you still want to understand what the real baseline is.
So then for the job ad, the public facing version, what do you think separates a strong listing from one that creates problems?
So actually, before we get to ads, let's talk about referrals. Tap into your own network. It's a great way to screen candidates and get high quality candidates and avoid candidates that are not so high quality. Then you get to ads. So before you write the ad, think about where you're going to post it, what makes the most sense. Then you want a clear and accurate ad. A strong job listing tells candidates what the job is, where it is, how it's measured, and what the pay range is. It avoids hype that creates mismatched expectations and later frustrations. For employers, think of it as the first compliance step and the first trust step.
And what should employers include in a listing?
A couple things: an accurate title, the top responsibilities in plain language, the requirements that are truly needed, the location and schedule, the pay range and basic benefits. In California now, in fact, you are required, if you have 15 or more employees, you're required to include salary ranges and job postings and provide pay scales for current positions upon request. So you need that in there. Also include the hiring process basics, like whether there's a skills test or multiple rounds of interviews, things like that.
Okay. So what should employees watch for as those kind of yellow flags in an ad?
Yeah. So employees should watch for things like a vagueness around pay, vagueness around hours. If there's language around along the lines of must be willing to do whatever it takes, that can signal unclear and unhealthy boundaries. Employees, it's your first signal of how organized the employer is. Also, if the ad reads like 3 roles combined, it might mean the company is understaffed or the role is not really defined.
Sometimes employers want to add personality, saying things like, we're a family. Is that type of thing a problem?
It can be. My advice is oftentimes it's better to just have a culture that embraces that instead of coming out and saying things like that. It's not because warmth is bad, but because that family language can blur professional boundaries. A safer approach, again, is to develop that culture and describe the behaviors that you value in the ad, like respectful communication, clear expectations, teamwork, things like that.